It was many years ago, way out in the countryside, a small family was raised in a simple farmhouse. The children grew up, moved away to the city, and as the years passed on, the elderly couple kept working and striving and watched their house kind of crumble around them as they were struggling just to get by. And then one day, a man from the government showed up and knocked on the door and said, "I have some news for you. We in the government are planning to put a beautiful new highway right through this part of the country so that people can get from one side of the state to the other more quickly. And the good news is, we will pay you 3 times what your little farm is worth." Well, the elderly couple were thrilled. They called up their kids in the city and they talked it over, and everybody thought that this was a fantastic opportunity, that they would have the ability to put some money away now and retire and relax and be taken care of for the rest of their lives. And so they called the man back and they signed the paperwork and they were paid, and the man said to the elderly couple, "You have 3 months from now to when we're going to show up and begin construction. So get yourself ready, move out, and we'll be back in 3 months." So 3 months came and went, and the whole family decided they were going to make a bit of an event of this. So the kids came in from the city with the grandkids, and here came the man from the government with all of the trucks and the tractors behind him to begin the demolition and lay the foundation for the new highway. And when everyone arrived and got out of their cars, and the elderly couple standing there smiling, greeting everyone, folks got pretty upset at what they saw. Because that little rundown farmhouse wasn't run down anymore. In those 3 months that elderly couple had, they planted some new bushes, put in some roses, fixed the broken fence out front, washed the windows, and even went so far as to hire a contractor and put a new roof on the house. And everybody got upset saying, "What are you doing? Why would you go through the trouble? Why would you spend the time and waste the money at putting a new roof on a house that's about to be bulldozed? Look, there are the trucks, there are the tractors. We're ready to take it down." And the old man thought for a moment, and he said, "Well, sometimes plans change. You never know what the future brings, and I didn't want anybody thinking that I'd sell a house that wasn't fit to live in." I wonder, if we think about this story, as ridiculous as it is, the idea of putting a new roof on a house about to be bulldozed, I wonder what we think about when asked about eternal life. You see, I really think that so many Christian people actually think that God's plan for our life is very much like that story. That somehow or other, God's real intentions are for us to live maybe 80 happy years, have us die, and then our souls would go off to be with Him for eternity, never to return to their body, never to return to this earth, and we would be as ghosts in some fluffy, cloud-like, place for all eternity. That God's plan is to simply do away with our bodies. God's plan is for eternal life to do away with our world, to tear up and dispose of our planet. That God's plan has always been simply to get us out of here so that we could forget we were ever human in the first place. How often have we heard small children consoled with the words, "Grandma is an angel now," after Grandma passed away? What is going on in our imagination? Have we ever heard Christian preachers talking about the rapture? Have we ever heard Christian folks talking about the world being destroyed in fire and cataclysm, and that God's plan is to simply do away with this mess? Because if we've heard that, how about we listen to these readings more closely? Because everything that we've heard so often before is wrong. That's not God's plan. In fact, God's plan's a whole lot better than that. The young men in the book of Maccabees gives for us the example and the model of what God has been planning from the beginning. These young men were being persecuted, tortured, and killed for their faith. And in that moment of great distress, they said what they knew God was doing. They said, "Here, you want to take my hands? Take them. I'll get them back. You want to take my tongue? Feel free. I'll have another. Would you like to take my life? That's okay. I will be raised from the dead." This is our faith. This is what we believe God is planning for eternal life. It would be awful if God claimed, think about this, it would be ridiculous if God claimed to be the author of life, able to forgive sins, able to heal broken hearts, able to work the occasional miracle, but yet still powerless in the face of death. Could you imagine God saying to us, "Yeah, I know I created you, but I'm sorry, I can't fix your death problem. I can't do it." That's not our God. Our God, the author of life, our God, the giver of all good things, is capable, Lord and King, even over death itself. That's what Jesus was saying when he was arguing with these Sadducees, because they didn't believe that eternal life involved the resurrection of the dead, the physical resurrection of the dead. They thought that when you died, you just cease to exist. And maybe you lived on in the memory of your loved ones, they thought. But Jesus said no. And not only did he say no, there will be a resurrection of the dead. He proved it. He rose from the dead. Our hope, please understand, our hope is not in going off to be a ghost for all eternity. How terrible would that be? I'd get bored real quick. Our hope is not to be an angel forever. That would be awful. I like this life. I like being human. I like living in this beautiful, wonderful world, sharing my life vibrantly with you. I like this. I want this for eternity, and so does God. Our hope is not just in life after death, though there is life after death. Our hope, our joy, our deepest anticipation is in life after death. That just as Jesus left the tomb, and the tomb was empty when he was done with it, so your graves will be empty as well. Yesterday, we lost Nicole, a recent alumna of our university, a very active member of our Catholic community. She will live again. Not as some silly, hollow metaphor, not as some angelic spirit meandering about a cloud somewhere. No, she will live again. She will rise from the grave as Jesus rose from the grave. We hope, we long, we believe in life after death, that all the dead will be raised. That God will show that not only is he the author of life, but he is the destroyer of death itself. This is what we mean when we say in our creed every Sunday, I believe in the resurrection of the dead and the life of the world to come. The last line of the creed, listen to it closely as you say it in a few moments. I believe in the resurrection of the dead and the life of the world to come. One final story. I was giving a talk to this effect a few years ago. And a woman in her late 40s began to cry. And her tears turned into loud weeping. And she looked at me once she composed herself, removed some of the moisture from her face, and she said, Father, when I was a young woman newly married, I gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. I got to be that beautiful child's mother for 2 months. And then suddenly in his sleep, my baby died. And with a hesitant smile, she asked, Father, are you telling me that someday I will get my son back? And I said to her, that's exactly what I'm telling you. The day will come where that grave that you visit weekly, where your son's body remains, will one day open. You will have your little boy back. You will have the man back that God always intended him to be. You will be his mother again. Not in some fluffy spiritual abode, but here. In life after death. Because we do believe in the resurrection of the dead and the life of the world to come.